I did it. I actually did it. I have illustrated my own children's book after 7 months of nonstop drawing by myself in my room, no job, literally 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, about take give or take. But yeah, I did it. I actually did it. Hello, my name is Ariana, or as I like to be called, Ari's Travel Sphere, and I am a previous graphic designer of about 10 years doing graphic design, mainly in e-commerce, doing marketing, paid, website, email, mainly marketing. I've done a lot of marketing design. Anyways, I am now moving into this whole new world of becoming a freelance illustrator. So I'm going to start off with the backstory, where this whole idea came from of working on this book over the past 7 months. So it started off pretty much in 2018 when I started to work remotely. I had a breakup and decided I wanted just a change in environment. So I requested to work remote and my job approved it. And basically, I have been working remote since 2018. Well, since last year. I left my job last year in November. So yeah, so in 2018, I began to solo travel and I went to about 13 countries by myself, mainly in Europe, but I did go to Japan, which was amazing, even though the time difference was so difficult because I was starting work at 2 a.m. because I was working a California job at the time. Anyways, I always knew that I wanted to write a children's book. Like, this has been something that I have wanted to do forever. I can't really put my finger on a specific time. All I can say is that pretty much since I was a little girl, I was drawing comics. I loved anime. I was drawing cartoons. I loved Card Captors, Dragon Ball Z. I just love to draw and tell stories. So I feel like this is something that I pretty much just always loved doing. And I knew that I always wanted to do a children's book. I've loved drawing my entire life. So I already knew that. Anyways, fast forward to 2019, my grandmother passed away. And, it was kind of difficult because I was very close to my grandma and I lived with her. I grew up with her when I was little. I was very close to her. I I wrote like a letter to her when I was in college saying I missed her. I can link. I have a video where I interviewed my grandma at about 100 and 100 or 101 years old, and I just feel like my grandmother has inspired me so much, and she kind of is someone that I just strive to be like. She's very like meditative, calm, this like Buddhist mindset, and I am ADHD and hyper, and my mind is moving a million miles a second. So she is my goal, and she's someone that I have always strived to be like. Anyways, fast forward even more. In 2020, something happened, and it gave me a lot of time to, work on some side projects. So I was still working my job as a graphic designer, and I was working remotely, still working, but I decided I wanted to do a little side project for myself because I like to do side projects. Anyways, that was the time that I did a lot of research. I made Pinterest boards of environments, characters. I started to do character exploration, and that was around the time that I really figured out what my story would be. I didn't have any copy, but I did have the visuals down. And I basically had rough sketches, and I just I ended up taking pictures of the sketches. They were 32 pages because If you do your research in traditional children's book publishing, the standard is 32 pages. I had 32 rough sketches of my illustrations. I put it in a folder in my phone and then pretty much forgot about it after 2020. Things opened up again, and yeah, I forgot completely about it. I ended up actually moving to Europe. I moved to another country, which is why I left my job in November, because I couldn't keep my job. After I left, I didn't really have a plan. I wasn't allowed to keep my job if I wanted to live in another country. And I did put a lot of time and process into moving, because visa paperwork is stressful and it's a lot of work. And it took me a while to get this visa. So, yeah, I left in November last year. And after I left, I pretty much just, I had to figure out what would young Ari want to do? Like, this is your chance. You have been working nonstop for 10 years. What do you want to focus on now? I'll admit I did try to apply for jobs, but nothing, not even a bite. So, I don't know. I think my gut just kind of told me, you know what? Why don't you do a project, do something that you can look back on when you're older and say that you did this thing. And I didn't want it to just be like a really nice illustration, because I've done illustrations and I've taken time on them. I wanted this to be like a project, something that took time and effort. So I think I always kind of knew, like, deep down. But yeah, I decided I'm going to go back into that folder with those rough sketches, and I am going to illustrate my children's book. So in January of that year, I went back to Hawaii. I grounded myself. I just told myself, Ari, enjoy life, hang out with your mom, go to the beach, do nature stuff, go on those beautiful hikes. You are in Hawaii. And I did that, and it was honestly really nice. It was very like grounding, and yeah, doing that, taking that month to just be in nature, hang out with really close friends, be with my mom. I think that really helped me, because when I came in February, I was ready to go heads down into this new world of children's book illustration. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a little about what this story is about. And it has to do with what I was just explaining with my grandma. So basically, in the story of this book that I've written, it's about a young girl who loses her grandma, and basically she goes through grief for the first time. Like, her grandma was such a light in her life, and now that light is gone. And in the book, it's very fantasy, whimsical, and she just goes through these dream worlds that's very otherworldly, psychedelic, trippy kind of feeling. And I just wanted that feeling of like wanderlust. I think I've always been interested in like that feeling of wanderlust and traveling and being in new places. And yeah, so in the story, basically the lesson that's learned from this book is the light is always inside her, like the connection that she held with her grandma is always there. And this book really, really relates to me, because when I was solo traveling, I would go through loneliness and I felt very alone. And I am an introverted person, so I did not talk to that many people. Like, I really honestly didn't talk to anyone. I talked to my Airbnb host. I would travel and I would work in the evening time. That was pretty much it. And I enjoyed it so much, and I definitely don't regret it. I grew so much as a person, but I felt like the nights that I felt the loneliness, I really, really feel like my grandmother was there in spirit, honestly. And I wanted to make this book dedicated to my grandmother. It's like very heartfelt, and that was a part of the reason why I decided to just self-publish my book, because there was a moment I did think about looking for a literary agent, which I probably will do in the future because I do plan on writing more children's books. But I wanted this to just be my story. No one like puts their thoughts or like ideas or like they want to change characters or stories, or I wanted this story to just represent me, and that's it. So yeah, it was I kind of already knew I was going to self-publish. I think there was the part of me that was like, I want this in bookshelves. I want this all over. I want this book to be everywhere, which don't we all want that, obviously. But I feel like in my gut, in my heart, I want this to be my story. And that means more to me. Basically, the lesson of this book is, like you have the light within yourself. You have the power to heal yourself. If you lose a loved one, someone close to you, the memories that you shared with them will never be lost. They will always be with you in spirit. And I think it's a very special lesson. And I think honestly, I really think it would be a book that I would enjoy if I were a little girl. It would be the book that I would have wanted if I were a little girl. So I think I'm kind of making this book for my young self in a way. So the next thing I'm just going to go over is the process. I'll start off by saying I really did not know how long this book would take. I wish I was joking when I say that I thought that I would be able to finish this book in a month. I'm not. I mean, you know what? It is possible. People could probably finish a children's book quickly. But I think because of the detail, and I took a lot of time understanding texturing, shading, colors, it did take me 7 months. So I think about 2 months in, I did the math and I was like, okay, it seems like I am, I think my rate, like how I'm producing these pages, it's about 2 pages per week. So I added it up and it was about 6 months. So I gave myself, I gave myself until I think the end of June. And then I was like, you know what? I want this to be good. So I added on another month. And I did some research, just side note. It takes, when I did research on it, I guess on average people take about 6 months to a year to do a children's book. And I think this is a lot of, they'll do back and forth, they'll do the covers. It starts off where the illustrator will send a sketches to their agents, and then like basically get the roughs out, get that finished up before actually adding in the detail and everything. I can honestly say right now, if I were to do this book from the beginning, I would do it in probably half the time, maybe a little more than that, maybe like 4 months, but I 100% would do it a lot faster. And I'm saying that because I know that I spent many hours, probably days, perfecting things like understanding lighting and the way light hits a person or an item. I also spent a lot of time understanding shading and what textures that I liked. Another huge thing I learned was you do not need to add a million things to a page, which has always been an issue for me as a graphic designer. I would always add as many things as possible, and for me, I think it's better to take away in the beginning, get that visual and perspective, get that composition good, and then start adding it. But I was always adding too much in the beginning. So I think I just kind of told myself, if it takes longer, I think I'm okay with it. I had to like finally just be like, I'm okay with this if it takes longer, as long as I am happy with it. I want this book to look amazing, and I want to look at these pages and be proud of it. And I can honestly say I could spend a whole nother year perfecting this book. There are so many things that I want to fix, but there is a point where you just kind of have to go pens down. I'm done. I have to move on to the next thing. When you first do it, it's never going to be perfect. Just like this video will probably have many errors to it, and that's something I have to be okay with. It's funny though, because if you look at YouTubers, look at their early videos, it's not good. It's true. They're not great. And I think I'm finally accepting this book. It does not need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay. I can look at this book now and I am happy with these pages right now. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the lessons that I've learned doing this book, because honestly, I've learned so much. Not only, I was drawing a lot, and while I would draw, I would spend hours, reading blogs from Illustrator, not reading, but I was listening because I was drawing, obviously, so I couldn't read. But I was mainly on YouTube. I was following a lot of really great illustrators who were inspiring me, who were giving me their advice on becoming an illustrator. I personally will tell you Anusha Seed. She was amazing. I really love her stuff. And I also love Furry Little Peach. I love her style. So I was watching a lot of YouTubers and just delving into this whole world of children's book illustration. And, I was already halfway done, but a huge lesson that I learned was I realized that I was doing my illustrations as basically a half page. So just like one page of the book, and that's it. But when you do a children's book, if you look at most children's books, they have a full widespread. So it's just like the image covers both sides of the book. And then there's the half page, which I have on all of 32 half pages. And then we have spot illustrations. And that's basically where there's like a spot, like, just that spot. And then there's text around it. And you can have multiple spot illustrations. Sometimes there's just one. But that's kind of like standard traditional book publishing style. So that was kind of a thing that I learned. I realized, oh, what do I do? Should I just restart it? Because trust me, there were moments that I was like, should I redo it? Should I make this page a widespread page? But then it won't be 32 pages. So I pretty much just kind of accepted it, and I was like, it's okay. I'm just gonna make it 32 half pages. So my style will be like an image with text on the other side of the page. I also delved and did a little more research, and I realized there are other children's books that do this, and I like it. I actually looked at these books and I was like, I really like this style. It's more poetic. It's more like an artsy book where it has the image on one side and it has like a poem on the other side. But I really like this style, and I am very happy with how this book is going to look. Like, I'm okay with it. I accepted it. I will say, moving forward, I would love to do my book in a more traditional children's book style. So I 100% am already thinking about that. How would I tackle this the next time that I do it? But that was a huge lesson. That was probably one of the biggest things that I was like, moving forward, I for sure want to do it like this. Another huge lesson that I would say I learned was my rough sketches were bad. Like they were rough. They were really, really rough. And if I were to redo this again, I would really ground down, like really get the sketches to a nice place where I can easily replicate it and digitalize this image, because I just think they were just too rough to digitize them. And when I was drawing them on my iPad, it was as if I was redrawing a lot of my images from scratch. So I think that's huge advice that I would give to anyone that is thinking about doing their own children's book. Just make sure that the sketches are really good and easy to replicate. Another big thing that I realized was really get the character down. Make sure that the character looks the same throughout your book. I realized when I was looking at my pages, I realized that as I was drawing, as I was, doing these pages, I was improving. Obviously, like you're spending hours, you're doing research, so I was definitely improving as an illustrator. So my work halfway done looked so much better than the first pages. The first 1, 2, 3 pages looked terrible. It almost looked like a different artist was doing it. Another thing that I noticed was the character looked different. I was drawing the character like she looked older in certain pages, or her nose looked different in other pages. And I think it is so important to make sure that the character is recognizable. I mean, obviously, if the hair is the same, the outfit's the same, you subconsciously know that it's the same character. But I really think it's so important to make sure that the face looks the same when you're doing your character exploration and everything. Another funny thing that happened was a little over halfway through my book, my mom came to visit me in Europe, and we went to Amsterdam, and I had such a great time. It was really amazing, and I'm so happy I went. But when I got back, it's like I had this feeling inside of me for a few weeks before leaving, but I finally listened to my gut, and I decided that I was going to change my character to be an alien girl. I decided that I really wanted this character to relate to anyone with any skin type. So I decided to make her skin like a tealish, greenish color, because I personally relate to it more. A lot of my past work, I like drawing characters with blue skin, purple skin. I love drawing fairies and aliens. So first of all, I think this related to me so much more. And another reason was the whole diversity thing. I really wanted this book to just relate to anyone of any skin color. Halfway through, when I was done with the book, I decided to redraw all of my characters again and just redraw all of them as aliens, including my dog. But yeah, it's crazy. That was a huge thing. Like, obviously, when you're illustrating every day, you don't even think about it, but you are improving. You will improve. Who knows the speed at which you will improve, but you will. And when you look at those earlier pages, it's so funny because you're like, your eye is stronger, so you start to notice, like, I have to fix this, I have to fix that, it was tough to not go back and fix the stuff, but we all have our own process. I finished it, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, so these were all the lessons that I learned. The thing is, I didn't even know about these things in the beginning, so I'm honestly just really happy with how the book turned out. Like, I don't think I would change anything at this point. I'm really happy, and I'm so excited to share it. So now we're moving into what's next. What's next for me? What am I looking forward to in the future? What are my plans moving forward from this book? I honestly don't know. Yeah, I am navigating this entire world on my own with you now. But yeah, so I am just trying to figure out what it's like to be a freelance illustrator. Something that I do have planned is I am planning on releasing my book in November, and I am also planning on creating special edition signed copies of this book. I will also have some special stuff. I haven't decided what yet, but I will have some special things, some goodies for people who would like to pre order the book. Um, I'm so excited to be sharing it. What else is next for me? I am planning on sharing all of my knowledge with you all on just everything that I have been learning about children's book illustration, and as I am continuing to learn about being a freelance illustrator. Also, please let me know if you're actually planning on writing and illustrating your own children's book. Because honestly, if you clicked onto this video, there is a reason why. And I'm going to assume that you're thinking about writing your own children's book. So let me know in the comments if you are currently working on a children's book or planning on writing one. I'm really curious to hear what you're thinking of writing or what the story's about. I could even give you my thoughts on everything. And if you're interested in following along on my journey of delving into freelance illustration and giving my thoughts, my experience on everything, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Follow me. I'll be just sharing everything that I'm learning. I actually just created my logo like 2 days ago. I just finished my book cover a day ago. So I really, really want to make a video, 2 videos on both of those topics because it's so interesting and I have so many thoughts behind these. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Now that I am done from being in my cave and drawing nonstop, I will be making a lot more videos. I'm coming out. Whoop whoop! I'm coming out and I'll be sharing everything that I know on freelance illustration. So feel free to hit that subscribe button if you're interested in following along in my journey. Thanks for watching. Bye.